my name is Luis Almeida. And as you can see here, it was quite a change from my first job in the United States until now. So Eric, thank you for the upgrade. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to break the ice. Now let's move on to my presentation and get started. I had a 4-year background in rail transportation engineering in Brazil when I decided to transfer to Penn State. There, I focused on a rail transportation engineering program that has civil engineering rail classes and offers hands-on learning and research experience. 49 days. That's the amount of work days we were given. We had to give our best selves to impress, add value to the company, and learn as much as we could. How much can you do in 49 days? That's what I'll talk about now. So the main things I was involved during my time here were design services during construction and quality control for the ESI project and RFP documents and phasing requirements for the Grand Central project. I know that a lot of you are knowledgeable on the ESI project, but I just want to give you a little overview. So the main purpose of the project is to rehabilitate 33 stations divided throughout New York City in 8 packages. And instead of fully rehabilitating the stations, work focused only on very specific items most in need of improvement. So the scope of work can be divided between renewals and enhancements. The renewals goal is to bring key items to a state of good repair, and the enhancements purpose is to improve the overall experience, the look of the stations, and user wayfinding. So in a schedule-driven scenario, Eric is working as a program facilitator, and we're working on the 25th floor alongside with our client, leading the design, schedule, costs, and all the services throughout the whole level of development. Now, there's a very strong challenge of working with design build in a rehabilitation project with such an aggressive schedule. And it basically lies on the fact that there might be unforeseen issues that could potentially affect your schedule and your scope of work. So your team has to be driven to resolve those issues in a timely manner with minimal impacts to the contract value and to your schedule. This is the structure that I just showed you guys. And that ties on to a very important part of my time during Eric, which is working with Constructware. It's basically a web-based project management tool to facilitate the sharing of communication and documentation between the client, in our case, New York City Transit, us as the consultants, the vendors, suppliers, subcontractors, and contractors. And with the software, I had access to all the important information during the design and the construction phasing parts. So RFIs, reports, submittals, etc. And I was able to identify every single document I needed to extract information from it. That leads me to my next main point, which is the design units. Contractually speaking, the design units are a beautiful element of the overall design. They're almost like a Lego piece within a whole Lego set. That means that each design unit can be fast-tracked and built, while other ones are still being designed to be developed. Every design unit starts off with 30% preliminary design, developed by us, moving on to 60, 90, 100% until they're ready to be built. This process I just explained ties on to quality control, which I was heavily involved with. The quality control process is a loop. First, when a submittal comes in, both Arabs and Transit disciplines have to look at those drawings to make sure they meet the contract, the design intent, and the codes. The second pass is done by the quality control team, and they basically have to validate and check to see if the discipline's comments are in line with the contract. So we're not asking for things that were not previously mentioned because that could lead to additional expenses. The third pass is done by the package manager, and it's nothing but an overall review where they have to either accept as noted, or revise and resubmit, asking the design builder to resend new drawings with updated corrections. My role started when I received new drawings from the design builder based on their responses to our comments. I had to provide dispositions to those comments, like Lorenzo said, spot the error, finding consistency between the drawings, and make sure that the changes that we requested were updated and incorporated on the next level of development until that unit could be closed. So now moving on to package 8, I was mostly involved with design services during construction, and that basically was focused on updating RFIs, trackers, and design unit trackers, and making sure that every important information was up to date and we could easily access that information. I was always involved with the daily minutes meetings and participated in understanding the dynamic between the construction manager, the architects, us as Arab, the consultants, and the client, discussing upcoming issues, change orders, additional work orders, etc., and all the other items that were relevant to a successful development of the project. I also got to work with package manager Claudia on 145th Street Station, and we had to create a presentation to offer the client different options in terms of colors, size, and positions for two sides of the platform, and they could choose whatever fits best their ideal. Here's another example for northbound side. And I also got to go to 167th Street Station on a site visit, and I helped surveying conditions to install an exit vestibule that's going to serve as alternative means of egress in case of an emergency. We have to comply with the code that says nobody has to travel more than 100 feet to reach a point of safety. So we wanted to go to the site to make sure that what we were proposing was valid. Now that's my baby. I got to work with Grand Central on different aspects of it before it even goes out for bid. So touching a very initial project that doesn't even have a lot to it yet, it's really helpful to understand how everything ties up. So I was involved with the front-end documents such as the overview and proposal procedures and the agreement as well. And I also touched on the phasing and closing strategies such as the special conditions in section 1D. For those two last documents, I worked with Sonim, and after discussions and collaboration, we used the work performed by Arab Penn Station as a baseline to develop our project, and we drafted a set of phasing rules to be performed at Grand Central Station. And for that task, our main points of concern were the permissible hours of work, so we listed every area that's going to receive work and every entrance and means of access to that area with the permissible hours of work to be filled out with the client. Another point of concern was how the access to that area and either by stairs, escalators, or turnstiles would be in case we close the area entirely versus closing the area in stages. I was also in the meetings with the architects discussing scope of work boundaries, requesting updates and corrections to present our client with the most accurate documents. And after the first meeting with the client, we wanted to make sure they would understand the different works that were being done in each area. So we decided to translate the written scope of work into a more layered visual alternative. So I'll give you here an example for R238. We'll have turnstiles being relocated. The red bars are walls work. Metro vending machines will be relocated to this position. Agent booth is going to receive mechanical and finishes work. The light blue is ceiling work with lighting fixtures and ceiling panels. And the orange is column work because they're going to be recladded. Our main goal was to show them the extent of work and facilitate the decision making on the phasing requirements for Grand Central. So now moving to the mellow part, I would like to say some final words. What did I learn in 49 days? I believe that a company is made of people, ideas, and collaboration. And after 2.5 months here, I got the chance to see that Arab is made of a very solid ethos, really good dynamic, and a lot of respect. And that's why the results are positive. So above all the things I've learned here, I realized that my main takeaways were from the people I had the chance to interact with. Those were the ones that taught me the biggest lessons. I got the chance to do a lot of meaningful work, and even though I'm just starting my professional path, I didn't feel afraid to voice my opinions and suggestions because they were considered as well. So that opportunity has expanded my knowledge, given me the participation that I needed, and the confidence that I didn't have on the first day. I think the main thing an intern needs is time to understand the process, time to ask questions, and time to understand what's going on behind something new for him. So if you, with your busy schedules and your deadlines, was able to give us a little bit of your time, we sincerely appreciate that. So thank you. Arab people, you guys rock.